Good morning to our Connect University session on emerging AI platforms. We know it's been a long week. We have one more interesting session to go. We know everyone is quite interested in the topic. So without even further ado, please, Cecile, if you want to make the introductions.
Thanks a lot, Alexandre, and welcome everyone to this session. Thanks for joining. This is last but not least session of the week, and thanks for organizing this session, Alexandre. Welcome again. My name is Cecile, and I'm the head of the unit called Robotics and AI Innovation and Excellence. And in our unit, we are supporting the whole community in Europe to develop and deploy AI in a way which respect our value or European value, making sure that AI is done the European ways in our activities. And for that, we have a number of different tools, different ways to interact with the community. So first of all, we have a partnership with the community, and this partnership is called Adra, AI, Data, and Robotics Partnership. And we have the big honor today to have the president of this association, Emanuela Gerardi. She will be the first speaker, and she will give you some information about, again, how to make European AI platform, respecting our value again, and how also, as a president of ADRA, how the platform in terms of community building can happen. So how can ADRA contribute to building a very strong European community? And the way we work with ADRA, this association invite every stakeholder working on AI or using AI to become a member so that they can all together define a strategy for developing and deploying AI in Europe. So this is a very strategic partnership we have, and very glad to have Emanuela Girardi presenting today. Another tool we have, so an AI platform is also a tool. So we have what we call the European AI on-demand platform. And this is an initiative which is supported by a number of projects. And the goal of this initiative is to provide to any researcher, any developer, innovator, but also user of AI, the necessary resource for them either to develop AI or to support their innovation or to deploy it. And again, a very important dimension of that is to accompany those innovators, those researchers, and making sure that AI is developed in a way which respects the rights of the human, of the user, and it's done the way we want in Europe. And later on, when the AI Act will be enforced, so the regulation which concern AI, making sure that there is a good protection of the user of AI, then this platform will take that into account and making sure that all the tools which are put on the platform will also be compliant with the requirement of the regulation. And then you will have a more hands-on presentation about what the platform can do. And the second speaker is Joachim Köhler, so the coordinator of one of the very important projects that will support the innovators on the platform. And he has been working on the platform since the very beginning. And then the next presenter, who will complement the presentation of Joachim, will be Sangamitra, and then she will give you a more hands-on experience about how to use the services of the platform, which is very useful also that it becomes concrete and you see actually how it works. And the last presenter today is Roberta. And she represents a group of projects, and she's the coordinator of another specific project in this group of projects. And this is a very important initiative as well. We had a call for proposal calling for project to study and address the possible bias we see in AI tools. So it's very important to address these issues of bias bias and trust in AI. And her project is dealing with these aspects. So not only detect, but also address those issues to make sure that the tools we are providing in AI are also aware and can make sure that we can trust them and they're unbiased, equitable, and impartial. So that's very important. And she is also connected to the AI on demand platform, because for us, this AI on demand platform is underlying all our activities, because we ask all our projects to connect to that and make the result available so that it becomes really a community platform, not only to allow people also to exchange information, but also to exchange tool and help, on the one hand, the researchers to put their result there, to compare the result with the other, but the innovators to put their solution so that they have a full European visibility of the solution they want to put on the market as well. So that's as a matter of introduction. So you know now the program of today, and my colleague Evangelia Markidou, who is head of sector in the unit, will then do the closing, and then that will then conclude this session on AI, and then Alexandru will eventually close the whole session. So again, thank you for being with us today. A big thank you to all the speakers to come and present their part of their contribution to a European platform from the different angles. And again, a big thanks to my colleagues, Ivana Zepa and also Susana Perez, for their big help in preparing this session. Thank you all, and enjoy the session.
Thank you, Cecile. And indeed, one thank you to the speakers as well. I know it's a lot of effort. Even though the time seems short, there's always a lot of effort put behind of it. For those of you in the audience, at home or at the office, a few things. First, I know everyone is busy, so in case you need to jump into a meeting, the sessions will be recording, and as with all of the sessions of the week, you will be able to find them on the Digital EU YouTube channel, as well as on Futurio. On Futurio's bonus points, you will also find the slides, and you can also get the chance to join the Connect University group, where you can suggest further sessions, view last ones, and also see what's coming up in the future. Remember, if you want to ask the speaker something, please do so via Slido. I think this is the benefit of doing sessions online, because everyone can actually make their voices heard no matter where they are here in Europe. So please ask us, and we'll make sure that the questions make their way towards the speakers. So let's get into the core of the problem. First speaker of today, Emanuela, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and to have the possibility of talking about the AI platforms and, of course, to talk about Adra. So let me start with sharing a presentation. Let's see if it works. I'm trying to do it. I'm going on full presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's start then. Okay, I'm Emanuela Girardi and I'm the president of Adra. Adra is the AI, Data and Robotics Association. And today we'll talk about sustainable AI platform and the European approach to innovation. Okay. Do you see the new slide?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, first. So I will start by talking about the platform economy, and then I will elaborate a little bit on the European approach to innovation, and finally I will talk about Adra and the partnership for AI, data, and robotics. But let's start with oh no, sorry, I spoiled the whole presentation. Okay, now I'm back. Okay, so let's look at the big AI platform. So big tech are sort of superpower. So if you look at the market value of big tech is like the GDP of a big country. Here it's just a few, just to mention, I mean, if you look at the GDP of Germany, I mean, is half of Apple's market share, or if you look about the French one, you have, I mean, Samsung is 10 times, and then a MasterCard for UK and so on. But really to give you an idea that we are almost talking about, I mean, we are talking about institutions, these AI platforms that are super powerful. So this is what we are dealing with today. And then if we think about the tech giants today, they are sort of part of our daily life. So let's take, so here today is the university community. So let's take, for instance, a young European student, and let's call her Emma. So we have Emma that she wakes up in the morning and she really wants to have croissant. So she's probably in the spring break and she has been binge watching The Crown or Fauda, I mean, since we consider today the Israel situation, maybe on Apple TV, on Amazon Prime or on Netflix. And then she Googles it, and she Googles a croissant near me, and she gets ready while watching maybe something on YouTube or listening to the music on Spotify. Then she rides to the bakery where she pays with the Apple Pay. And then, I mean, finally, she can put a picture of her croissant on Instagram. And then after the breakfast, maybe she writes a paper for a school using Word. So Emma's digital routine, it's like ours, because we all use this sort of set of technologies today. We are really living in this digital age is driven by business like Amazon, Facebook, Meta, or Facebook Meta, and Alphabet or Google, Apple, and Microsoft. And every digital device that it's on today has some sort of interaction with one of these big 5 platforms. We are living in a sort of technological oligopoly, I would call it. If then we think about generative AI, sorry, it's going. Is not moving? Okay. If we think about generative AI, okay, with generative AI, the power of this platform, it's getting bigger and bigger, because it's true that we have, as you can see in the map, I mean, lots of new startups that are becoming bigger and important in generative AI. But then if we look at the unicorn, I mean, again, we just have a few of these companies, because we have OpenAI, we have Anthropic, and we really, I mean, we have some new big tech also with generative AI. But what is needed to be successful and to become a super powerful AI platform today? Today, I mean, to become powerful, there are very few things that are important. The first one is data. Then you have, I mean, big models, a superpower algorithm. Then you have computer power, which is very expensive. And then you have talents that are also very expensive. And so, I mean, to get all of these things, you need money, I mean, to be able to afford this. Think about if we've seen now, I mean, the previous slides, I show you, I mean, OpenAI, and you have Microsoft that invested 1 billion, in OpenAI a couple of years ago, not just last year. And then a few days ago, Amazon announced that it would invest up to 4 billion in Anthropic. So it's a sort of, again, we can call it a sort of AI race also to develop this sort of big platform. And this is really the innovation landscape and the innovation drivers today. But if we look at the map of innovation today, we really see that, I mean, where innovation is taking place today, and I mean, which kind of innovation is taking place today? So if we look at the Global Innovation Index, we can see that most of the innovation today is taking place, of course, in the US, a little bit, I mean, in China as well, and then in some few European countries. But which kind of, sorry, I'm messing up with the thing. Okay, which kind of innovation is this? I mean, is it really the kind of innovation that we really want today? This innovation that is, I mean, happening in this way, and it's really sort of controlling us in this way? No, I mean, I think that today, and here we go to the European approach, we need to, I don't know what I'm doing, but I mean, the thing, okay, I don't touch it anymore, just when I change slide. I think that if we look at the European approach, innovation probably is not enough. I mean, we need sustainable innovation. And when we think about sustainable innovation, we are thinking about the 3 dimensions of innovation. So not only the economical one, but also the environmental one and the social innovation. And this is because if we think about AI, especially for the AI platform and AI, I mean, AI is very powerful. It's a set of technology that can offer us huge opportunities. But we should also feel, especially as European, we feel a sort of a responsibility to develop a sustainable innovation, also from the social and from the environmental point of view. And like Voltaire said, and then it became famous also with Churchill, but then more with Spider-Man, with Stan Lee, with great power comes great responsibility. And so it is really important to start addressing the innovation also from the social and environmental point of view. And so this slide is quite funny, I would say, because and I didn't use it for religious purpose. I use it because this is a deep fake of the Pope. And so you can see already what you can do with innovation if it's not well managed. And the Pope last week published a new book, a new paper called Laudate Deum, which is a paper that focuses on the social and the environmental sustainability. So how we can use technologies to tackle the big challenges of our time, such as climate change and other challenges. And it's okay. And in the paper, he also raises some worries about the social and environmental sustainability of AI. And this is, I think, and this is the reason why I use this image, because it's very much aligned with the European approach to innovation. So let's have a look at the social and environmental risk of AI. So if we start from the social sustainability, as I just mentioned, AI is really a set of very powerful technologies, but there are some risks related to the use and to the misuse of AI, and they have to be known, mitigated, and managed. So we really need to develop responsible AI. And not only, this is the European vision, which is the trustworthy, human-centric, responsible, and safe AI. And then in Europe, what we do, and I think it will be addressed by another panel today or in the last week, we propose the AI regulation, which hopefully will come, will be approved by the end of the year, and then will come into the market in 1.5 years. And this is the first part. So we really need to address the risk of use and misuse of AI. The second part is related to the digital divide and the inequalities that are related to a not fair use of AI. So we really need to teach people how to use AI, because if we think about people without the digital skills, we'll really be the new poor of the future. And what can we do in Europe, and what are we doing? So we have lots of programs in education and in training, and also with Adra. And we really have, European Commission is really putting the focus on this topic. This is the digital year of skills. Sorry, it's the year of the digital skills. And then there is also the Digital Compass, which is a very important program to bring, all the European citizens to have at least 85% of digital skills by 2030. So digital divide and inequalities are really another big risk related to a sustainable use of AI. And the last part, and this is very much related to Adra as well, and to the innovation ecosystem. So in Europe, why we don't have those big platforms that I mentioned in the first part of the presentation? Because in Europe, we don't have venture capital who puts immense capital in the market to acquire talents, to buy computer power, or they can collect or scrape data from internet. We are very fragmented, and we need to overcome this fragmentation and build an innovation ecosystem to support the startup and to support the scale up. So really building communities and innovation ecosystem is really the key to be able to build social sustainable innovation. But social sustainability is not enough. We also have to think about the environmental sustainability of innovation. Because if we think about AI, AI on one hand, on one side, can really help us tackling the climate change and the other big challenges of our times. But there are also some concerns about the environmental cost of computer power, in particular the carbon footprint of this technology or the greenhouse gas emission of data and AI. So we have to make sure that on one side we can use these technologies to tackle these challenges, but also that the use of this technology is not slowing what we are doing for the climate change. Just to give you a very few example of the risk related to the environmental impact of these technologies. For instance, the MIT reported that the cloud has a larger carbon footprint than the entire airline industry. Or if we think about, when we train an AI model, we also have to think about the carbon dioxide emission that they are developing. And most of the time, they are not using the renewable energy, but very often, the data center or the energy that is used is from carbon fossil. And then also when we think about application like the autonomous driving car, we have to think that first we have the training of the model, but then we also have the daily inference when we use the model in the car. So there is really, also a side effect of using these technologies and the impact that they can have in the environmental areas. We have to make sure that we also keep it in mind when we use and when we develop these technologies. Okay. So today it's a little bit difficult. So what can we do in Europe and what are we doing in Europe today? Von der Leyen, in the last State of the Union speech, she said that there are 3 things that we can do and 3 pillars. So we have to build guardrails for AI, we need to develop an AI governance, and we need to guide innovation in AI. So the AI Act and the European Vision for AI are referring to the first 2 points. And Adra, instead, is really working on guiding the innovation on AI, and not only the innovation, but also the transformation, the digital transformation in AI. What do we need to do and what we are trying to do in Adra? So in Adra, we are building a European innovation ecosystem that has to be strong, has to be connected, because unfortunately we're still quite fragmented in Europe, and has to be ambitious. And these are probably the most 3 important points when it comes to building a European innovation ecosystem. And how do we do it? We do it with Adra. So Adra is really the key to overcome this European fragmentation. And also Adra is trying to leverage on the local excellence, because we have lots of local national excellence, especially when it comes to research. And we really need to start from what is there from the excellence point of view to build this European innovation ecosystem. So Adra is the AI Data and Robotics Association. It's been founded by 5 associations that you see here that are CLARE, ELLIS, EURAI, BDVA, and Eurobotics. And they really bring together all the different communities of AI, data and robotics in Europe, and also all the different stakeholders from research, academy, and also from the industry point of view. And Adra has been founded to become the private partner of the European Commission in the new co-program partnership in AI, data and robotics. We signed an MOU a couple of years ago with the Commission, where the Commission committed to invest 1.3 billion euro of public investment through Horizon program, Horizon Europe. And also, Adra committed to match through the private partners this investment. And we started, of course, participating through our partners in lots of the European calls of the Horizon Europe program. What are we doing in Adra? Which one are the... Adra is to create this European innovation ecosystem, securing the European sovereignty over AI, data and robotics technologies and know-how. And while we do this, we also have to establish the European leadership in AI, data and robotics technologies with this high socioeconomic and environmental impact. So again, you see, this is the European view, the social and environmental sustainability of innovation. And the last part, which is very important for our industry, is that we are, through building this community, we are reinforcing a strong and global competitive position for Europe in AI, data robotics, and for European startups, SMEs and big companies. What do? We are doing lots of programs and lots of activities, but this is just a few because today I don't have lots of time, and there are also all other interesting presentation after me, but I just wanted to give you an idea of all the different activities that we're developing. So we have several topic groups and task forces in Adra. For instance, the first one is the national and regional initiatives. Like I said, in Europe, there are lots of things happening at national level, and Adra is really the community that is building bridges between different communities and different initiatives that are happening. If you think, for instance, about now generative AI and the large language model, we are bringing together all the different partners that are currently developing nationally initiative on large language model for sharing their experience, sharing the critical parts that they're finding, and also to start building European projects together. Then the other very important project is the one that was mentioned in the beginning by Cécile. So we are writing the strategic research, innovation and deployment agenda, and we're identifying the main challenges that we have to face by the convergence of these three technologies in the next 10, 20 years in Europe. And this will be the base that will be used then for the Horizon program and for the working program calls. And at the moment, we are in the final phase of updating this strategic innovation and deployment agenda, research and innovation and deployment agenda, which will be presented in November. Then we have a policy topic group. This is very important today because we have AI, data and robotics that are really in this moment, I mean, they are, like I said, they're a set of very powerful technologies, but it is very important to manage them and to govern their development and their use. And so there are, the European Commission proposed different regulations. There is the Data Act, now there is the AI Act, there is the Digital Service Act, the Digital Market Act, the CHIPS Act, and all these regulations, they have an impact, of course, on the innovation ecosystem. And so with Adra, we are trying to understand which one is the impact that they have on research and on industry, mainly on industry. And we are trying to support also our members in engineering these regulations, so in bringing this regulation into their operation and to make sure that they will be compliant with all the requirements that are included in this regulation, and that all these requirements can be met, and that they are not sort of limiting innovation, but they can ensure that innovation in Europe is happening in a safe and sustainable and responsible way. Then we have a topic group on standardization, and this is really the engineering part of the regulation, because to be compliant with the regulation, you need to define some standards. And so where the standards are happening, which are the European innovation standardization body like JTC 21 for AI, for instance, and Senelec, I mean, is the body, the standardization body. And so we make sure that all our members are aligned with what's happening, and they can also, I mean, not only be informed, but also, I mean, bring their requirements and their ideas through ADRA, through the JTC 21 for AI, or anyway, I mean, through the Senelec activities in general. Then we have some other topic groups. These are just a few of them, but all the members, they can propose topic groups or initiatives, and then we can develop them, and then we can make sure that all the members can participate in the works of these activities. For instance, there is one on automotive and mobility, there is one in inspection and maintenance, and there is one that is very important at the moment on generative AI. And on this, we are really trying to see if and how we can build generative AI in Europe, because what like generative AI at the moment, the big tech, like I mentioned in the first part of the presentation, it's happening somewhere else, not in Europe. But we also want to make sure that we take advantage, I mean, the opportunities offered by generative AI, and also to make sure that we can bring them in a safe and responsible way to our European industry, and most of them are SMEs or small companies. And so we really have to make sure that they can start using it in a safe way. So these are part of the topic groups. There are some new ones coming up. For instance, there is a new one in education, and there are some others that will be presented in the next few weeks. This is just to give you an idea of which one is the landscape of the members of Adra at the moment. We have been a sort of a startup for the first 2 years, also because we were founded during the COVID. But now we have a secretary general that started a few months ago. And now we are really in the scale-up phase. We are really developing things, developing activities, developing initiatives. And I really think that now it is the place where the innovation ecosystem is being built at the moment in Adra. And this is the last thing that I would like to share with you, is that we will have our first AI Data and Robotics Forum. It's happening in Versailles on the 8th and 9th of November. We have a fantastic program already, and it's really the first time that the community meets and start working together to develop this European AI Data and Robotics ecosystem. I had just a few minutes, so I wanted to give you an idea of what is Adra, what is the community, what is building, how it's building up, and so on. But I will be very happy to answer some of your questions, or in our website you find all the information about Adra and the different initiatives that you are building. And I really invite you to come physically or virtually to our first forum, AI Data and Robotics Forum in Versailles. So thank you again for having invited me. I was very happy to participate in this event.
Thank you, Emanuela. And indeed, we do have a lot of questions coming in from the audience. Based on what we saw, it's clear that only together we can go ahead, and we can go ahead stronger if we pull in our efforts. This being said, when you do pull in your efforts, and you do try to make things sustainable, you try and set some guidelines, rules, etc. The questions that we have coming from the audience as well is, if we do this, if we focus on sustainability, etc., we will probably lag behind even more behind the US and China, for example. The private sector is moving at an immense speed. Can we do anything about it so that we also do it in a good way, but we also move quick?
That's a very good question, because we are always discussing about it. So we're already lagging, and this is why I started from the big tech, just to show that we are lagging. This is the current situation. It is a choice, and we need to choose and to find the right balance, because of course like I said, we cannot build another OpenAI today or an Anthropic today in Europe, because we started late and because we're lacking some of the resources, like the venture capital, big resources, computing power, and so on. But I think that there is another way. So if we overcome this fragmentation that we have today, because it's not that we're not investing, we are investing lots of money. I mean, the European Commission is really investing lots of money. Through Adra, it will be mobilized 2.6 billion euros. So it is lots of money. I think we need probably to change a little bit the way these money are invested. And this is the first step, and we're working with Adra and with the European Commission. We're working towards it to identify some different initiatives that could take us to the next level. So still generative AI, but a different generative AI probably. And then, as I said, we need to be also a little bit more ambitious. So we need to think about the next challenges that we're facing, because and this is why I mentioned the climate change, and there are other challenges, for instance, in the health system and so on, if you think about the pollution, decarbonization. So I think that we need to start working from these challenges that are facing us, not us, because they're, facing globally, but start from this and start what we can do with the resources that we have in Europe, with the European vision. And try to be ambitious on this, because I think that this is very important. So we also need to regulate, and when it comes to regulation, I always say that we shouldn't lead in regulation without leading in innovation. So this is very important, and it's a key message. But on the other hand, we also need to be ambitious in what we want to do in Europe, because I think that with the excellence that we have in research, we should be able to do something great also in Europe.
That's a good point. Indeed, the resources is a big part of the problem. And ideally, it's not only the private sector that would invest, but also the public. And we see the public doing that, but we'd love to see more VC investment. one last question before we move forward to Joachim. So you did mention separate resources, a lot of separate players. Just very, very briefly, do you see these smaller players allying themselves amongst each other and becoming a larger AI superpower? Because now the field is pretty fragmented.
It is fragmented. I think that there is a need to create bridges between the different community players and partners on AI, especially on AI, and so to create this sort of community and network. On the other end, I also think that there is a need to create, a centralized initiative on AI, because I think that it's, you need to concentrate resources as well, when it comes to AI. So I think that it's, it is both, but you need to do both, I think. So if we think about the investment, for instance, the fragmentation of the resources, took us to the today landscape that it's also very fragmented and that we're still lagging. So I think that if there was a little bit of a higher concentration in resources, probably we could reach higher goals and higher results too. A higher impact, I
Very
think.
good point. And we will try and answer a few of the remaining questions in written form as well. And speaking of good initiatives and strong platforms, we now invite to the floor Professor Joachim Köhler on the European AI on Demand platform.
So, hello, and thanks for the invitation and the chance to give a short update about the development around the European AI on Demand platform. And I think, Emanuela, your talk was excellent and introduced the need of the platform a lot. And so to give a little bit strategic view to the European AI on Demand platform, I would like to show you this figure here. And what we see is that this platform really should bring together the excellent research in Europe we have on AI technology, in the huge amount of research labs we have in Europe, this huge amount of European AI projects. So we have a lot of experts in the academia. But I think what you said is completely true. So we have the situation of fragmentation in Europe, and the platform should help to overcome this fragmentation in AI technology and should enable the more innovation and product space in Europe that companies, SMEs, large industry developers, startups, investors can make use of the huge effort we do in the academic research on AI. And the platform should help. And the platform is not only a concept, it's there. So we have released over the last projects. I will give you in a few minutes a little bit deeper look how these projects look like. We have already achieved a stable and nice platform. You see the link here on the slide. And on the right side, you see already the marketplace, what we have established. We have already a huge number of AI assets in the platform, and my colleague Sagam Mitra will show you in a few minutes how to use these AI assets. So this means this is a technical platform. It has a lot of content about projects, about initiatives, about learning material for AI in Europe, but it has technical tools. It has tools which can be executed, which can be deployed. And so we want to lower the barrier for SMEs, especially for SMEs, but not only for SMEs, to access AI technology from Europe and for European innovators. So it should be the one-stop shop for European AI resources and should enable a better collaboration to conduct research and innovation in Europe for AI. So what's of course important to note here that this is an ongoing process, and here on the next slide you see a little bit the landscape of projects around the European AI on Demand platform. So we started with a AI on Demand platform development 5 years ago with the project AI for You. Now the AI for Europe has released a new version of the platform, and this project is primarily focused to provide for the European research community better tools for research, to exchange AI research tool, to do benchmarking. And on the same side, we have several ICT 49 projects, mainly in specific domains, to use the AI on demand platform to build applications like for Copernicus, like for energy, like for other areas. And now we have just finished a project called PREPI. I will explain a little bit more detail later what it is, how to make the next step to make this platform even stronger and to use it for productive usage in Europe to build AI applications. But what is completely now obvious, and I will talk a little bit later about this, that since November last year, so we have ChatGPT, and we have to now to consider how to bring in this large language models, this generative AI into the platform. And I think that's an important issue now for the future of the platform, to provide strong European models and services which strengthen the platform in the area of generative AI. But again, the goal here, you see from the setup of the project, is that this platform is used by the industry, that it has an industrial level, that it can be used to do AI innovations. So we have just finished the PREPI project. So this morning we had the final review of the project. And here we defined several requirements regarding trustworthiness, regarding stakeholder analysis, technical requirements, but also requirements how to build strong business plans. So this project were carried out by 22 partners, 2 associated partners, and you see how here, I don't go through in detail, all the partners involved in this activity. So we have large industry, we had some SME related organizations, some research organization. And with the results of PREPI, we go into the next phase of the development. And I have the good news for the AI on demand platform. That's a follow-up project to realize the platform will start 1st of January 2024 with 28 million. And this project is called Deploy AI, and I will give you later a little bit more information. From the findings of the PREPI project, I think there's several issues important to realize now. So it's really important that the platform which is there, so I showed you the link and you can try out and find content in the platform, but that the platform really reach an industrial level and that it's really integrated in a professional and operational scenario with DevOps scenarios, with service level agreement, so that we can compete and provide services which are expected by the European industry. So it's also important that we really address 2 areas. So one area are the European SMEs and startups, but also the public administration, which has a strong need for AI now to improve processes in the public sector. And this is one main, these are one of the main target groups for these stakeholders. And this also leads me to the point that we have now carried out a very stakeholder-driven development process. This process is now defined so that we really understand the user perspectives, that we know the different stakeholder groups, and that we also integrate TEFs, EDIHs in the development process of the future releases of the AI on demand platform. So this AI on demand platform is not an isolated platform. It is integrated in a concept or in the landscape of European ecosystem, a technical ecosystem. So we have already other platforms in Europe. I mentioned a few of them, like the EOSC platform, the European Language Grid, European Cloud and Edge Services. We have Gaia X, we have data spaces, we have EDIHs. And it's important that the platform, that's the AI on demand platform, is technically and organizationally connected to the other platforms and serves as AI collaborative hub for this European ecosystem. And This interoperability will be achieved in this follow-up project, and here we have strong partners on board who will realize this. A major mindset of the platform is the openness of the platform. So it's important that we follow a very open development process and that partners can really contribute. We have additional projects and initiatives in Europe so that the components of the platform are mainly open source, like the Eclipse Graphene platform or the Open API part of the platform, and that we have a very transparent process for the community to build and enhance the platform. One important issue of the platform is, of course, the general purpose AI and HPC readiness. So we are all aware, and I will show you a few slides in a minute, that this area of general purpose AI and the area of foundation models are now really important. And the platform will incorporate this with some initiatives and with some background, which I will show you now with very concrete examples. And we need, of course, the support of these large European HPC centers like LUMI, like the center in Barcelona, like Leonardo in Italy. So these are very, very important centers which will help the platform to build strong AI capabilities. And we all know that since November 2002, the AI world is a different world. So with ChatGPT, we were a little bit all surprised what happens and about the power of ChatGPT and other large language models. And this graphic shows that only in 5 days, ChatGPT was able to get 1 million users, which is really very impressive. And we see also what now happens. So we see that Open AI has some advantage still regarding some other open source models, but the good message is, so the open source model becomes stronger. I will give you an example in a few seconds. And but it also shows that there's something to do. And because these large language model has such impact for the European industry, that it's really important that we in Europe, with all our experts, with all our HPC resources, that we find ways to provide strong European models, and that we can offer here also for the European AI on Demand platform services around Gen AI, which helps us to provide industrial services. So about here, this graphic shows the emergent capabilities of Gen AI. So if you have models with larger models, so you see that the capabilities of such model becomes bigger and bigger. So it can do many things at the same time, from translation to question answering, summarization, and so on. And this is the strength of the models. With the size of the models, so we can solve many problems at the same time. So it's kind of also system which provides a lot of service at the same time. And that's the reason why we need this model in Europe, why we need these models also in the AI on Demand platform. Here you see some activities. It's not complete, of course, but so we have already started and launched several activities in Europe. So we have the activity from Silo AI in Finland. They have trained a very strong model for Nordic languages. We have in Germany OpenGPTX project. We had Bloom a few years ago. From Hugging Face, we have since a few weeks Mistral with a 7 billion model, which is also quite strong model and performed very well also on these standard tasks, which I have showed you before. And these slides also show you that the activity of Euro HPC joint undertaking is important now to push the usage of their HPC centers for training large language models and to allow also SMEs to use the HPC in a better way, so that our ecosystem also around this large language model, general purpose AI, becomes stronger and more available for SMEs. And this is also an integral part of the future AI on Demand platform. Here I show you two projects which are related to this large language model development. This is a national project here in Germany called OpenGPTX with strong partners like Fraunhofer, DFKI, Jülich, Aleph Alpha. Here we work on a 70 billion parameter project, which is, I would say, state of the art, so which is factually reliable and provides digital sovereignty in the area of the large language model. And there's a huge demand from the industry in Germany using this model and integrate this in their applications. 1st of November, we will start another important project on a European level. It's called Trust LLM. This is a multilingual effort to build a model for Nordic languages, mainly Nordic languages, together with Sweden AI, with other partners which are listed here on the slide. And this model will mainly cover also factual correctness to avoid hallucination and to do alignment of European values, also using RLHF technologies, and to use really advanced machine learning algorithms to improve the performance of these models and to cover this multilingual aspects with, again, with a clear ambition that we use these models later on in the European AI on-demand platform to provide really strong services in this area. So this means that with this initiative on national and European level, we are really able to provide strong European AI models, and we have to concentrate on this because without this model, even I would say all our efforts in AI will not really end in success. We need these models and we have to bring our forces together to train these large language models and to implement and to integrate them in these infrastructures we have currently in Europe. This leads me also to some other points which are important for the future of the European AI on demand platform. So we will establish a clear business orientation of the platform to build an entity around the platform. We have also the issue of trustworthiness. This was already discussed before with the European AI Act, which also covers in the future the usage of foundation models and general purpose AI. We have to align all these trustworthy issues with the usage in the AI on demand platform. This is foreseen here. We have very strong partners on board. And of course, we have to increase the visibility of the AI on demand platform that the European industry is able and capable of using it and knows where to go building AI applications with European technology. So here, my last slide, this gives you an overview about the complexity, what we will build in the next 4 years in the Deploy AI project. So you see a lot of components, which I said before. So we have connections to other ecosystems, to the TEFs, to the EDIHs. We have several showcases in the project, so use cases which shows the usage of the AI on demand platform. We have a clear support of European large language models foreseen in the platform. The whole project will be guided by trustworthy AI layer. And we have, based on the technology which we already have, which will be shown later by Sangamitra, we can use Dockerized containers to build AI application with a very sophisticated tool and deploy them in Kubernetes-based applications and scenarios. So, of course, this is a huge issue to build this, but we have sufficient resources for the next 4 years. It's a project with 28 million euros, so funded by the Commission. So we are very glad that this is now possible. But of course, we will try to bring users on to the platform, that the sustainability of the platform not only depends on European funding, so that the platform is self-sustainable over a longer time, and that it really provides the usage and advantage which we want to achieve in the near future. So that's a little bit the outlook. What will happen again? So the AI on demand platform is already available with a lot of tools, with a lot of content. But here you see the future, the next iteration of the platform, and that's basically it for the moment, what I want to present. And thank you very much for your attention, and happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joachim. Indeed, maybe we can even post where people can contact the platform as well in the chat, because based on the questions that we are getting in, we are seeing them, they're quite focused on practicalities. So they might be future clients of the platform. We'll try and ask you a few of them. You don't have to answer all of them, but people are interested to see one, let's say, regarding the colleagues they might be in. So basically, who has the right to use the platform and what kind of other users are they and how many if possible. And the people are also interested in seeing things regarding the actual costs of the platform when it comes to computing power.
So let me answer. So I posted the link here in the chat. So please go to the platform, navigate through the platform. We will see in a few minutes a deep dive to how to build AI application with the platform. So, and I mean, at the moment, it's an open platform. It's open. There's no limitation to access. So we want to be attractive for many users. So they should come to the platform, navigate through the platform. There is no limitation at the moment included. This will change in the future if there are more commercial service included or more secure data sets included. Then we will have a two-layer approach, an open area and a more restricted area. Regarding computational power, that's a good question. It's important. So what we have developed at the moment is an infrastructure where you can build AI application based on Docker containers. So there's a basic infrastructure. If you want to run this assembled AI application, you have to organize your own Kubernetes environment. Most companies have these Kubernetes environment. In the future, we expect that we can provide more computational resources, especially when we have onboarded the HPC centers or some of them. But it's possible now to build AI application on the platform, but the full execution of the Dockerized Kubernetes applications has to be done mainly in a dedicated Kubernetes environment of the partners. This can be from laptop to large cloud centers. You can configure this.
Okay. And speaking of the future, do you have, let's say, an ideal case of how many users you would expect to serve in the upcoming year, so in 2024?
Well, to give precise numbers, that's of course always an
ideal case.
But I think what we really want to achieve is that we have a lot of companies on the platforms, and that there's a really huge user base, so that we have enough traffic to grow also. The platform should grow. It should be very visible. And therefore, we really need a lot of users, of course. Concrete numbers, I don't want to say.
So that means that at the moment, at least, there is no limitation in terms of maximum concurrent users.
No, there's no limitation at the moment. People can go and do their experience with a platform, look for content, search for content, build AI applications. So there's no limitation here at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Maybe one last question before we go into the actual practical experiments. Again, coming back to the future, we do want innovation to come from all types of players. So do you see any specific requirements coming from the SMEs to the platform to help them grow, to help them move forward?
Well, this we investigated a lot now in this planning project, in the pre-pipe project. No surprise, from the SME, the SME area is not very homogeneous. So there are SMEs which have no experience with AI. So they need consulting, they need advice, they need examples, they need use cases. And of course, there are SMEs which are much more skilled in AI and they want to build directly AI application. And here we have to distinguish a little bit also in the future design of the platform that we provide solutions and content services for both areas, aware and unaware SMEs. I think that's the approach we are following, that we have different entry levels for using the platform.
Excellent. So we posted the link in the chat, so we invite everyone to take a look. Danke, Joachim. We will move now to the actual practical part. Sangamitra.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me out.
Yes.
So I will share my screen and give you a live demo presentation of our platform. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, thank you. So good morning, good afternoon to everyone present today, and thank you for the opportunity for the session. So today I will be presenting the topic on the experiment service of the AIoT platform. So as Professor Dr. Joachim mentioned, so we have this AIoT platform, and this is a part of the practical version of the AIoT platform that I will be presenting today. So there are a lot of microservices that are available, but I have chosen 2 to 3 microservices or features to present because this helps the users or an experimenter to easily deploy their AI pipelines in an execution environment. So we have 2 production systems. So one is AI for EU experiments and the other is AI lab. And I will be using the AI for EU experiments today for the live demo presentation. So the first feature that I'm going to show you all is the marketplace. So the marketplace is a place for catalogs of models. So we have around 338 models that are available, and that can be classified into different categories, such as classification, prediction, regression, and they can also be classified into data sources and data transformers. So today, I would like to show you one specific use case called as house price prediction use case. And this is quite interesting and simple to understand, and I have chosen this for showing you the entire live demo presentation. So a simple AI pipeline will always have 2 components. One is a data broker and the other is the model itself. Now, this marketplace consists of these catalogs of different data brokers and models. And if we click onto them, we can see that there are different artifacts that are associated with the particular catalog. So for example, we have the descriptions, we have the license profile, we have the signature files, and the documents, model artifacts, then the information about the author and the publisher details as well. So here we have the description of the data broker catalog that tells you, yes, the data broker is responsible for the transfer of the data set to the model. Then we also have the license profile that is associated with this data broker. And we have the signature file that is also associated with it. Now, this is one of the important key components that we need to understand. So the signature file gives you the protobuf definitions of the data broker. For example, here the data broker's signature file gives you the RPC, that is gRPC protocol, procedure calls, and calls the service method such as HPP data broker by passing an empty message and returns certain feature message. So here, the empty message indicates that this is actually the starting point of an AI pipeline. And the features indicates the different parameters of the houses. So this is defined in the protobuf definitions under the message features. And we also have a remote procedural call to the service method get dataset metadata. And by passing the empty message, we expect to return a dataset feature, which is nothing but the features or the metadata information that describes about the dataset. And we have also declared it in the protobuf definitions, like the message dataset features about the dataset name, description, size, and etc. Now, moving back to the marketplace, of course, an AI pipeline should have the model to which the data has to be transmitted and get the necessary output. So the model also has these catalog with different artifacts that is associated with it. For instance, the description, the license profile, the signature, and etc., similar to the data broker. So if we move on to the signature, and we can see that there are important methods, service methods are present that will help us to give the output necessary. So for example, here we have the remote procedure call, which is done to the important production method predict sales price by passing the features, the message features, and return the predicted output. So the predicted output is in the format of a sales price. So we pass in the features of an house and then we get the sales price predicted. So we also have another service method called as regressor metrics, and we pass in the features and expect a return message of training status. So the training status can be of these metrics of the models that is used to evaluate the performance of these models. So for example, we have defined the message here with a mean square error, root mean square error, and etc. that will tell you how good your model performance is. So with this information, these are the main building points. And with this information, we can now construct our AI pipelines in the next feature called as Design Studio. So I will be moving to the next feature, Design Studio, which is a JavaScript-based application that helps you to visually compose your AI pipelines that you have seen from all the models that is present in the marketplace catalog. So the Design Studio consists of all the models which are classified as mentioned in different categories. And for example, you have the models under classification, prediction, regression, and you have the data transform tools, data sources, and etc. So now our use case that we are focusing on is house price prediction use case. And this data broker and the model will be available under the prediction category. So I am going through it and I found the data broker and the model. So for the first step, as the pipeline needs to be executed, we need a data source. So we drag the house price data broker onto the Design Studio and we add this as a node. And similarly, we need the model. So we do the same for the model and we have the node for the house price model as well. Now we have these icons or handles around these nodes. And if we move over them, grow over them, we can see that sometimes the other icons, which are similar to the adjacent nodes, starts to blink. So this gives us an indication that there is a potential connection that can be made between these nodes. So a potential relationship can be executed. So I will be making this connection for the pipeline to be connected so that I am passing the features from the data broker to the model to do the necessary steps. So the editor clearly helps us to indicate these connections because we have designed the signature file that we have seen earlier. So now that we have these two nodes in our pipeline, we can save the pipeline as the next step. So I will be giving, for example, like an HPP solution pipeline and a version number 1, maybe, and then save the pipeline. Now, the next step following the saving method, we have to validate this pipeline. And we get this validation console, which states like, yes, this is good to go. So one more thing that I would like to show you before I deploy these pipeline is that there are possible solutions that are already in existence that can be used to do the demo of your choice. For example, we also have the house price pipeline, which is already in existence, and just a click away, they will be imported into the design studio. So once we have constructed our pipeline, the next step is for deploying it for execution. So the Akumos platform supports the web UI, the models, the marketplace, the design studio, and etc. But it does not support the execution run, so execution environment. So this is where what we do is we either deploy it into a local Kubernetes environment, that is your own environment, or we have a AI lab playground Kubernetes environment to which we can, at the moment, deploy our demo pipelines and trial pipelines to see how they work. So now I am going to deploy it in the AI lab playground. And let me wait. So once we do this deployment, we have all the artifacts that are being generated, and we have the pipeline deployed in our Kubernetes environment. So right now, as you can see, we have our house price deployment, and we have the nodes that we have connected earlier in our pipeline. That is the house price data broker and the house price model. And you can also notice that there is one other node, which is an orchestrator. And to give a generic overview and a short overview of it, an orchestrator, which is also called as a generic parallel orchestrator, is responsible for the execution of this AI pipeline. So it will take the messages from one node to another node, and it will help us in the execution process. So now, in addition to that, we also have this feature where we have the solution description with the image of the solution and some content to describe about what the solution is. Now, moving on to actually seeing the output of this pipeline. So we go for the house price data broker as the initial step. So we access the web UI that is present here. And now we can see certain instructions of the web UI of the data broker. So what this instruction does is that it asks you to click the predict house price button and then to enter certain information in the input form. For example, these are the parameters or the features that describe about the house and for which you need the sales price predicted. So I will quickly enter some of my choices for an house. For example, house type is 60, the lot area is maybe 1,000. Yes, and the year bill could be somewhat 2004, the total number of rooms, the possible amount of cars, and the living area can be 650, and you have overall quality of 8. So now that I've entered my options here, I submit the form, and I have an instructions in this use case, that is to forward your input data to the predictor model. Please rerun the pipeline on the AI lab playground, and the results will be displayed on the predictors model web UI. So I go back to the pipeline environment and I rerun my pipeline. So once I do that, I can check the web UI of the model, and hopefully my result of the predicted sales price will appear. So yes, we have got the predicted sales price of the house by the parameters that we have defined in the data broker. So this is a simple example of the AI pipeline that can be easily deployed and easily accessed within seconds. And one more feature that I would like to show you at the end is the view execution metadata that we have recently worked on. So this gives us the metadata information that may be of interest for some of our users. So which gives the information about the dataset features or the model metrics that we have extracted earlier in the beginning. So for example, if we scroll down, we have the metrics of the model, which talks about the different mean square error, root mean square error, R square error scores that are useful to evaluate the model performance. So how good your model is working. And we have these results extracted from the model itself. And also we have the dataset features, which talks about the features which tells about what is the dataset. So the dataset name, the description, the size, and the DOID if it's available. So these are some of the informations that would be helpful for some of the users. And this is the entire execution of a simple AI pipeline in the AI for EU experiment. So I hope it's a little bit clear, and I'm open for questions now. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sagamitra. I think it's good for the potential users out there, because the questions that we've been getting seem to be technical indeed.
Yeah.
So maybe when I ask them, Joachim, please also be free to answer. So I'll try and group them somehow. Maybe I will take the more generic ones first. Is there a specific feature which you see requested a lot right now by the current users?
So maybe I can answer from the features. So of course, I mean, many applications or many features or examples are around computer vision. Yeah, so computer vision is one domain which is of course of strong interest, especially on both sides, in the area of providers, AI asset provider, but also consumers. So so there's I would say a cluster of using this mechanism of AI pipelines.
Okay. We have another related, because you did mention data brokers. Are they now actually part of the system, or is this more was like showcasing what it can do?
So yes, so it is part of the system. So we have the each individual data brokers like how the model existence, and we use this data broker so that we can pass the information from the user to the model, which is already trained in the use case that I have displayed here. So this is a means of transferring the data at ease and gives the model a better understanding about the data it received. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe again, a technical question, so pretty much both. We did see this coming back from possibly one of the future users. Is there any actual limitations? I think they saw a number somewhere, and it's regarding 100 million concurrent users. Is that even possible to reach?
Well, I mean, we have, of course, a stable user base, but not 100 million users at the same time. I mean, with these new technologies, with the Kubernetes platform, of course, we can scale up. We have now a fixed infrastructure for running these pipelines, this graphene technology. Maybe I can add this. So during the AI for You project and the follow-up project, AI for Europe, we transferred this technology to an open source framework of the Eclipse Foundation. So it's open source, it's graphene, so it's an open development. So it's really designed also to scale up. Basically, it's based on the infrastructure where it's running. Yeah. So now we have a fixed infrastructure, and I would say it's limited maybe to a few thousand users at the moment. But of course, we can scale up if we go to larger cloud providers or have more instances. So it's more the question how much cloud resources we book.
Mm-hmm. So then, again, maybe I'm asking the questions. I'm not fully technical, so again, I will try and ask, and I understand if we cannot answer, again, we can always redirect people. But we have another technical question regarding actual computing power provision for the AI playground. Do you know any direction that you can give?
So maybe I hand over to Sangamitra, but so to my understanding, to my knowledge, I mean, it's really scalable. I mean, the playground can also be on your laptop. Yeah, so in a, I would say, scalable way, I would say, but if you want to run it on your laptop, you can do that. You need Docker, you need a little bit Kubernetes, yeah, and then you can run it, yeah, and but maybe Sangamitra, maybe you want to add a few words. How we have now? How do we do scaling now?
Yes, so at the moment we have these two dev servers that are connected to the production system, and we are able to deploy our solutions directly there. But yes, of course, this is scalable in future, and we are currently working on that. And as Professor Yokai mentioned, we are having this provision that we can have this AI playground in our own environment, and that we can deploy in our own Kubernetes cluster as of now. But the future scope is to look into the scalability, and that is actually the work that is going on right now.
Understood. We also have a very specific question. It's regarding what was previously presented. The house price prediction, is that not including the house location feature?
Yes, so currently we add like around 80 features, and we wanted to make this use case much more feasible, much more available for the users to better understand before they dive into a large AI models. So what we did is we add the model and we selected the features that gave the best accurate results, rather than using all the features and getting a overfitted model at the end. So this is why we have limited the features to up to 7. And for this is mainly to give an example or a basic approach for the other users to perfectly understand and then move on to a complicated or much more comprehend AI pipelines. So this is a base example, and of course location features can be added if it supports the model.
Okay, so then maybe one last question. It's kind of, let's say, more plan specific. Do you plan to scale somehow the platform? Do you have specific plans in the area? And do you have any plans of changing the current hosting model?
Well, this will definitely happen now in this new project, which will start 1st of January. So, I mean, in this new project, there are very strong partners regarding hosting infrastructure. I just mentioned two, that's Jonas, that's T-Systems. And together with these partners, we were looking for larger infrastructure. It's not decided at the end which. I mean, if we need infrastructure on the HPC partners, we have also HPC partners on board. But for these more cloud-based services, which is, for example, the house price example, I think I would say a standardized Kubernetes environment is of relevance. And with these providers, we will look for a much larger infrastructure. And again, so we will scale depending on the requests which will come.
Okay. And speaking of requests, do you have separate requests, one from public area and one for private? Do you have, let's say, separate environments for secure private networks, or is it all in the same place?
Not yet. So at the moment, it's one instance for this pipeline creation for the Bluefin installation. It's one environment at the moment. But of course, I mean, it's also possible to have different environments. But this is not planned yet very concretely that we have different environments for different stakeholder groups. Makes it a little bit more complex.
Okay, excellent. So again, thank you both. And for those of you at home, again, we have left the link in the chat so you can access there, and then you can contact them privately if you do have even more technical questions. Thank you both for the practical presentation. So moving back a bit, We spoke at the beginning about sustainability, of how to do things forward in a more sustainable way. Maybe we can try and speak and how to do it in a more equitable way. So for this, we have with us Roberta, Professor Roberta Calgari.
Hello, yeah. Good afternoon to everyone. So I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
And I will try to share my screen. No. Let me try again. Okay. You should see my presentation.
Yes, and you can.
Okay,
Excellent.
so yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Roberta Calegari. I'm a professor here at the Computer Science and Engineering Department at the University of Bologna. And I am the coordinator of the Equitas project, and I will delve into the detail of this project in a few moments. So thanks a lot for inviting me. And first of all, I want to talk a little bit about the context, even if my colleagues actually already set a little bit the background related to the context that we are facing nowadays. So as it was mentioned before, it is a matter of fact that nowadays we are surrounded by many applications that actually take automatic decision based on some machine learning, on some predictive models. And unfortunately, it is often the case that this kind of application reiterate the bias and the unfair behavior that we can find in historical data. So if you take a look, for instance, to this web page that is the AI incident database, and you take a look to the fairness keyword, you can see that there are many applications that actually reiterate this kind of unfair behavior. So some of the examples are very well known. For instance, you will remember the facial recognition application that didn't recognize well Black people, but some of them actually are not so well known. So we really use application without being aware that actually they are performing some sort of bias. So as we said before, there are a lot of policies and a lot of strategies that are put into place for tackling this issue that finally is a very well-known issue now. And in particular, the European strategy worked setting up a sort of ethical guideline for developing and deploying and designing trustworthy AI. And as we said before, we are moving towards the definition of the AI Act that will be released by the end of the year and will come into play in 1 year and a half. So we can say that this strategy is a way for closing the trust gap that we have between the development of AI application and their placing in the market. So the main aim of this strategy at the end of the day is to introduce on the European market application that can be considered trustworthy and that we can rely on. So the ethical guidelines for trustworthy AI and the AI Act are built around 3 main pillars. The 3 main pillars for building a trustworthy AI system are lawfulness, ethics, and robustness. Then ethics and robustness can be declined into 7 more specific requirements that are all the dimensions that we need to that needs to be audited in order to be sure that our AI system is trustworthy. In these 7 specific requirements, we can find fairness as one of the key requirements covering, let me say, the ethical part of an AI application. But when we take a look to these guidelines that actually are pretty good and are really the way to go, I think, for achieving trustworthiness of AI, what we see that is still missing is a way to practicalize, to ground these high-level requirements in something that can be really measured by designers, by developers of an AI application. So we need in a way to provide practical methodologies, practical tools, experimentation tools possible, where we can measure these dimensions and we can provide functional, technical, social, and lawful requirements to the designers and the developers of AI application. So with this main goal in mind, one of the initiatives at the European level was to open a call related to tackling bias and fairness in AI. And Equitas is one of the projects that won this call. But actually, we are 4 projects. 4 projects have been founded under this call, and we are 4 sister projects. We work together. We work together, creating synergy, and we have created this fairness cluster in which we exchange experience, methodologies, and we try to develop a common path for tackling this issue. So one of the projects in the cluster is Mammoth, that is mainly focused on multi-attribute, multimodal bias mitigation for AI system. Then we have Finder. Finder is another project that is going to tackle awareness and mitigation of bias in AI, specifically for HR application, HR domain. Then we have the Bias project, that is another project that provides technique and methods for mitigating bias of AI in the labor market. And then we have Equitas, and I will enter into the details of Equitas right now. So Equitas, what is the main idea behind this project is exactly what I said before, that actually we think that can be really useful to provide an open, controlled experimentation environment for all the AI stakeholders to test concretely fairness and the fairness dimension in a playground, in a sort of a playground, creating sort of controlled experiment where I can create different experiment, I can stress my application, I can understand what is going to happen if I change the input data in my application, what is in a way the breaking point in terms of fairness of an AI application. So what is the main workflow of Equitas, of this framework? First of all, when you enter into this framework, there is a first discrimination. If you already have an existing AI application, or if you have to design it from scratch. So let it be the case that you already have an AI system, an AI algorithm, and you want to test it. This playground should guide you, first of all, in assessing your AI system, assessing in terms of bias, existing bias at the level of the data, at the level of the algorithm, at the level of the interpretation of result. And so to make you aware that actually your AI system is performing some sort of bias. Then, of course, if some unfair behavior or if some bias is detected, the framework should provide some mitigation or reparation technique. So the idea is to link all the kind of bias that we can have to specific technique that I can use to repair my system. Of course, we know that we cannot design and implement a bias-free AI system, but at least we can try to mitigate it. So once we have we have selected the technique that we want to apply on our AI system, we should be able to reassess the level of fairness until we reach a point where we are happy. Of course, one possibility in the framework is to compare different techniques and to see the different results that you can have, both in terms of fairness and in terms of accuracy as well of your AI system, but also in terms of the impact. So which measure of fairness, quantitative measure of fairness should I select? Why? So we want also to take into account the socio-technical context that is fundamental when we talk about fairness. So the parallel workflow is that, of course, if I don't have an AI system, we would like also the framework to be able to provide some sort of guidelines and methodologies on how to build a system that can be considered fair for a specific context. So how Equitas is going to happen? The main strength, I think, that we have in the project is that we are tackling the problem starting from real use cases. So starting from cases in which we detected already a sort of bias behavior. So we have different use cases, 6 in particular. And we have 2 use cases in the healthcare domain. And in the healthcare domain, the first use case is related to an automatic decision system for making diagnoses in pediatric dermatology disease. So here the kind of bias that we can have usually is related to the color of the skin, because for instance, if I train a model only with white skin, the model will not predict well disease on a black skin. Then we have another scenario that is related to bias-aware version of ICU predictive algorithms, so for the access to the ICU. Then we have 2 other use cases in the human resource domain, and in particular we have data, we have different data set related to the HR domain in order to perform the selection of the best candidate for a given job. And also we have an algorithm, an existing algorithm exploited by a company that we want to assess in order to understand if we can detect bias and how we can make it more fair. And finally, we have 2 use cases in the socially disadvantaged group. And in particular, here we have a very delicate use case that actually is related to the detection of abuse and neglect in kids when they come to the emergency room of an hospital. And also in this case, we have a real data set provided by the hospital. And then we have a second use case that is related to the access to education. So how an automatic system can provide grants for studying without performing any kind of bias. So at the level of the methodology, how can this project work? And I'm talking about Equitas, but I already discussed this with my other sister project, and we all agree about this concept. When we talk about ethics topic and fairness in particular, we cannot talk only between technical people. So this kind of topic should be addressed. First of all, opening the perspective. And so also our consortium, but also the consortium of my sister project are always composed by technical persons, social scientists, and also lawyers. So we really need to put the effort together and to work together for addressing something that makes sense. And not only this, the other point that I want to stress is that when we want to design this kind of application, we need to adopt a methodology that is called participatory design process. What does it mean? It means that we have to involve all the stakeholders that will play a role in that application, so that will be also affected by the decision of the AI system in the AI life cycle. So we need to talk to them at the beginning, we need for the collection of the requirement, then we need to design the system involving them, and then we need to develop the system and to test involving again all the stakeholders that we can find in the process. So this is exactly how our consortium has been built. And we can find some research and competence center that with strong technical capability, but also, as I said before, social capabilities. Then we have some big companies that play the role to, they are data providers, so they provide real data set where we can test this kind of issues. And we have a technological integrator, and then the important part of the consortium, I think, that is devoted to all the associations. So for each use cases, actually, we involved one association, that is the association that is bringing the voice of the groups that can be discriminated against this kind of application. So finally, to conclude, I want to mention that this is the last one. So this service, Equitas, at the end of the day, will be a framework, will be available as a service, so will be a tool available as a service. And as we said before, we want to integrate it in the AI on demand platform and in the big ecosystem that Joachim presented before. So this is more or less the schema that we have right now in the AI on demand platform. So we can find different components that expose different kind of metadata and that expose different API that actually can be exploited and extended. So how we are going to integrate Equitas in the AI on demand platform? First of all, we will build the components, so the Equitas core, the core of the framework, and then we will build a service out of that. So we will make it available as a component, but also we will extend the AI on demand platform existing API, making available other Equitas API that are going to tackle fairness in the accordingly to what I presented before. So I think that this is a really hot topic, because I think that really now we have the opportunity to make this kind of system more equitable. But this is not only an opportunity, I think that this is also a duty. So I'm very happy that we are talking about this, and I'm very happy that the ecosystem is actually growing around the concept of trustworthy AI for Europe. Okay, so that's it. And if you have questions, I'm here.
Thank you again, Professor. Indeed, it's only normal to grow, especially given all the interest that the subject has been receiving in the last few months. And I think it's only going to continue to grow, and naturally so. So the questions that we did get from the audience are, let's say, kind of philosophically in one sense, and maybe we can tackle them together.
I'm a computer engineering. I want to stress this, but
sorry.
I'm a computer engineering, so with philosophy I'm not pretty good, but I can try.
Okay, so we'll approach philosophy by a technical perspective. So people were asking how to balance basically the risks of AI misuse with the good results that developing treatments with AI could bring, for example.
Okay, so thank you for the question. This is a very good question, honestly. So first of all, I think that AI is there. So no matter what, we are going to use it. So my opinion is that we should use really AI for what AI is good, and to have the so-called AI for good. So I'm not saying that risks are not there. Risks are there for sure, and we are talking about this, but we should be aware. So I should be aware of the fact that in some given context, my application can perform a biased behavior. So I know that, and I can take a look. I can put a human in the loop. I can put in the life cycle many different strategies, but the key point is the awareness around the topic. If we are not aware, this is a risk, a big risk. Otherwise, if we are aware, we can put in place strategy. And what I want to stress also is that this topic all are really strictly related to the domain. So it could be the case that in some sort of application, I accept to have a higher risk because it is not so important. So this is why I stressed before that the socio-technical context actually is an input when we have to make an assessment in terms of fairness or trustworthiness in general.
Understood. But what if we simply just go ahead only with, I don't know, let's say projects that have very low risk associated with humans? The audience gives, for example, weather models. Shouldn't it just be better to continue focusing on models, on developing models on that?
So my opinion is that this could be not actually the right strategy, because we really can have good result also in risky domain. So how the AI Act is built around classifying the level of risk actually of my AI application. So we have low risk application, medium risk, high risk, and applications that are forbidden. So okay, if we are in the forbidden one, okay, we cannot do anything. But in the high risk application, I think that we can, for instance, healthcare is one of that. And it would be a pity not to use AI in healthcare, because for some tasks it is really useful. It can alleviate the burden of the doctors for many tasks. So it is a pity not to use these. What we should do, and actually what we are doing, is to regulate it via the AI Act, providing instrument, concrete tool for understanding this issue, for being aware of this issue, and for mitigate that. So I think that this could be a good way to go.
Okay, but you did have kind of a scale in terms of, let's say, the danger of each project.
Actually, the AI Act is going to classify every AI system. So we will have it. This is something that we will have, and we will know the level of risk of our AI application. In the AI life cycle also is very important the preliminary phase, where we need to put in place this sort of methodology that is called risk assessment, in which we are going really to study all the risk, all the impact of this AI application, and we are going to provide some sort of guidelines on how to measure it and how to make it happen. This is related also to the trust label that they were mentioning before in the previous talk.
So then, because we have a question on it coming from the audience, if you were to assess in a very technical way fairness or trustworthiness, would you have an extra definition, or would you simply send everyone as well back to the AI Act?
Okay, this is another good question. I didn't read the final version yet because it is not out, but I think that we need to add extra, let me say, specification, because at the end of the day, some articles in the law are always kind of vague in terms when we ground them to the technical level. So we need also to ground them into the technical level, possibly to provide standard and methodology that we can follow for doing that. And then we need to understand that we can have different measure of fairness. It is already a matter of fact that when I have to assess the fairness in an AI application, they come out with 20 measures and I don't know which one I have to pick up. So first of all, we need to provide a clear methodology on how to select the metric that we want to use, why, and what is the impact of selecting one metric with respect to the other. And so, yes, we really needed to add something. Also because if you saw the 3 pillars are lawfulness, so the AI Act, I think that will cover totally the lawfulness part, but then ethics and robustness are out. So if we want to audit trustworthiness in general, we need to add something, standard methodology, practical tool for measuring it.
Excellent. I think we managed to get through most of the questions, and I appreciate the fact that you brought the technical approach on a layer which is, let's say, more philosophical at its core.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate the view. Closing remarks. AI is quite a complicated beast on its own. We will have future sessions on it as well. So please stay tuned. And if you have any specific thoughts, please let us know in the chat. So without further ado, for the last closing thoughts coming from the Commission, Evangelia.
Thanks a lot, Alex. So yes, I hope that today we managed to give a quite a good overview of what we are doing now in the unit, but also together in collaboration with other units, what we are trying to put in place in Europe, but also promoting the European, what we call AI made in Europe. So platforms that really are respectful of European values, that also promote trustworthy AI. So this is something where we need to work together, where we have to have also our collective responsibility to ensure that we develop in Europe such platforms, but also AI solutions that are respecting human rights, promote fairness, and also empower individuals. We also put the citizens also first. Of course, we also put in place platforms that will help also SMEs and startups too. I would say stay tuned, because in the coming months, we will also come up with a few announcements, and maybe next year, Alex, together, we maybe can organize another session. I would really like to thank everyone that attended today, but last but not least, I would like to thank you, Alex, for the great work that you have done this week, for having made this possible. It was a very nice experience for us, and it's a nice opportunity to be able also to share with colleagues in the Commission what we are doing, but also getting the useful feedback. So many, many thanks from our side, Alex, for having made this possible, and over to you as the master of ceremony of this week.
Thank you, Evangelia. Indeed, it's been a long week for everyone, packed with a lot of information. Platforms in general are no easy thing, and they are so multifaceted. So we tried approaching them from many places, and indeed, let's try and organize something next year on AI, because we clearly see the interest. So I left for everyone a short poll in the chat. It would be really useful to know your opinion on the week. Meanwhile, while everyone replies to that, I will take just a short amount of time to take you through the week of what you missed in case you didn't make it. We know it's during working hours, so I can imagine it can happen. On Monday, we began with the whole overview of the platform's ecosystem. We slowly started unpacking the theme. We then continued with the session on cybersecurity and saw what we can do in the EU to better attract and maintain specialists. We know how important it is in order to maintain trustworthy platforms. Next, further on, we are becoming more and more digital, so it's also normal that we now have trustworthy digital identities. And we showed you with the EU Digital Identity Wallet how this can happen in the future, how this can be implemented, and what steps are being taken in the area. Next big part of what we have in Europe is multiculturalism. This means a lot of languages. So that means also a lot of language technologies and platforms. We also showed you what the Commission is doing in the area and how we can best improve so that then we can serve the communities. On Wednesday, an important part of algorithms is how they work. So we went and approached a bit on how this happens via their algorithms. And we showed how it is possible to achieve transparency and the efforts which are done in the area. And in the afternoon, we had a session on disinformation. Again, coming back to trust. This is very important to have in all platforms. So we showed the existing fears that are in the area of disinformation, what the Commission is doing to combat them, and what might the future trends be in the upcoming years. Thursday, we went really specific into policy. You had a lot of questions on how this might look for entire Europe, and we showed you, and you were able to engage with the people behind the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. And today in the morning, data platforms, because data is the fuel of what we do nowadays online. So we showed you what can be done to be improved in the area, what can be done in order to better collaborate and understand data and use it to do better good. And last but not least, we closed with AI platforms because, again, this has been a huge topic in the last few months, and we are on top of it. So it's glad to see everyone here engaging, giving us further ideas how to go ahead. All of these sessions, you will be able to watch them again on the Digital EU YouTube channel. So please subscribe to that. All the slides will be posted on Futurium. So if you want, you can also join the community. You can also propose future sessions if you have something specific in mind in the area. So please join Futurium and make your thoughts heard. We really hope this has been a good week for you with a lot of insights on how the digital policy landscape of platforms will look like in the short future. Again, we know it's not something easy. We know it's something complex, which needs a lot of thought, and we need your voice heard on this. So to close the week, thank you again for being here, and see you in 2 weeks on the session on virtual worlds, and see what they can bring for the industry and for you, the society. Thank you very much, and have a great weekend ahead.